Welcome back to my kitchen. It is dinner time again, and tonight we're having something very comforting, very comforting. Just because you're trying to get your protein in absolutely doesn't mean that you can't have one of the most classic dishes of all time. And tonight we're having Salisbury steak. So the first thing that I have to do is I have to chop this onion. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you know that onions and me, we're just not friends. So I'm just gonna show you my secret, okay? This is my secret. I wear these. And I love them. So me and my onion goggles are going in with this guy. And they work. These things work. Everything else I've ever learned does not work. Okay, so I'm just gonna chop my onion. Going to give it a little cut that way and a little cut that way. Okay, and then I'm just gonna give them a little chop. They don't have to be perfect because these are going to cook down when I saute them. So I'm just cutting my onions. And there are no tears here, none. I feel great. The other thing this recipe calls for is sliced mushrooms. And this is very controversial, but I saw Jacques Pepin wash his mushrooms. And if Jacques Pepin can wash his mushrooms, so can I. I wouldn't wash them and then store them in my fridge, but I'm just getting ready to cook them right now. So I rinsed these off and just put them in a kitchen towel to dry them a little bit. And then I just looked to make sure there wasn't actually dirt on them. The water isn't gonna hurt anything. They're gonna cook just fine. So I'm just gonna slice these mushrooms up and get them going. And I mean, it's literally the roughest slice. They don't have to be perfectly pretty. I'd like to slice, make a flat side, and then slice until I can't go comfortably anymore, make a flat side and slice some more. So here are my mushrooms, and here is my onions, and that is all the chopping you need to do for this dish. No other chopping, that's it. Okay, I've got my nonstick pan here on medium heat, and this is going to be a teaspoon of olive oil. Just putting in my onions. We're going to give them a little bit of salt. Everybody knows by now, if you've been following me, I like to season as I go. And this is a little bit of pepper. And I'm just going to cook these down because this is going to get mixed into my beef. And I don't want to mix in raw onions. I want to mix in a soft cooked onion. All right, these onions are cooked now. So I'm just going to remove them to this bowl and I'm going to let them cool off because I'm going to be making meat patties. And these are really hot and I'm not trying to put my hands in them right now. We're also going to be using an egg in here, so we're not trying to scramble that egg. My onions are cooled off, totally fine now. Here I have 1/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs. I do think they add a really nice softness to these patties. I'm gonna add an egg, stir it all up in there. This is one pound of lean ground beef. We gotta season our meat. I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And I'm just gonna mix it up. And of course I am gonna get in there with my hands because yes, I am. And see, those onions are soft. They're not crunchy. They're going to flavor the patties really nicely. When you're working with really lean meat, you definitely want to incorporate things if you can to keep things moist. And a sauteed onion like this will do that. And if you want your onions less chunky, definitely grate them. If they don't bother you, you know, they don't make you cry like a crazy person. But this works for me. All I'm gonna do is kind of show myself what 4 portions looks like. Okay, so that's 4. Yeah, that's 4. I'm just gonna take one of these portions here and I'm gonna make it into a Salisbury steak. We know that it's an oval shape. It's different than a hamburger, okay? It's a steak. It's a little Salisbury steak. Look at that little cute Salisbury steak. So cute. Just put him on my little tray right here. I'm just gonna keep forming them. Look at that, the little mini meatloaf. Here are my little Salisbury steaks, and now all we have to do is fry them up. I'm just starting with the same nonstick skillet that I used to saute the onions. The onions are in the meat. There's no reason to dirty another pan. I've got it on really high heat because I want to sear these. And I'm adding 1 more teaspoon of oil, and I just used the same measuring spoon that I did to measure the salt and pepper. It all goes to the same place. Because I use so little oil, I sometimes like to use this little brush to make sure it's evenly distributed in the pan. And I'm just gonna put these guys in here. I am gonna let these sear up really, really well. I want them nice and brown on the outside. So I'm not gonna move these for at least 2 minutes. At this point, I'm not trying to cook them all the way through. I just wanna make sure that they are really nice and happy brown on the outside. Okay, let's check these. Yeah, that's what I want, like that. And with the onions in it, it's a really satisfying size of a patty. I'm just gonna do the same on the other side. I'm just gonna let them get really, really nice and brown. Okay, these are brown on both sides. I'm just gonna move these to a plate now. They're still raw in the middle. In the same pan, I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of butter. Yeah, I'm using butter. And I'm gonna put in my mushrooms. And here I am not going to salt these mushrooms. Normally I would salt in layers, but in this case I'm not going to because I'm going to be making 2 cups of this better than bouillon beef base with some hot water to use as my stock. And this can be kind of salty. There we go. These are nice and cooked. What I have here now is 2 tablespoons of flour. So yes, in a calorie deficit, this girl is still making a roux. This is 4 portions. So what? My portion's gonna have a 1/2 tablespoon of butter and a 1/2 tablespoon of flour. You do wanna cook off that raw flour flavor. And here I have just 2 cups of hot water, and I put 2 teaspoons of the better than bouillon in here. The flour has been incorporated into the mushrooms, and I'm just gonna add my stuff. And see, no lumps, no lumps. Now all I have to do is take my meat and put it back in. The meat is gonna cook in this gravy, and that's gonna get it cooked all the way through. And as it cooks, this gravy is gonna thicken. It takes about 5 minutes to get everything cooked. It's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna give these guys a little flip. See now? See that gravy? See it? You know, just be patient. And it happens. That is done. I can tell my patties are finished. So now I'm just going to turn the heat off. I'm just gonna keep this warm while I finish the rest of my meal. Look at my dinner. I have my Salisbury steak on a bed of a 1/2 cup of mashed potatoes and some steamed green beans. That is just a proper dinner. Let's taste my steak. Oh, looks so good. The little mushroom. It just tastes like the most comforting thing. But I think I will put a little black pepper. Wow, this is really good. This is the kind of meal that I think a lot of people who are trying to stay in a calorie deficit, you know, are staying away from. But don't stay away from it. If you're not a vegetarian, you're not going to spend the rest of your life not having meat and potatoes. So throw in a little meat and potatoes once in a while.